like that!
Welcome back to the Villain Report, the most dangerous Detroit Lions talk on the internet. I'm your host, Russell Wayne, a.k.a. the Villain, a.k.a. the voice of vengeance, the mouth of the Motor City Madness, and the UDFA of sports podcasting. Turn that down a little bit. And you already know what day it is. It's PFF Tuesday. That's right. The nerds out there have crunched the numbers. The spreadsheets are hot off the press. And now it's time for me to tear through them villain style with my own nerdy comb to bring out the inner nerd in myself. We're talking offense, defense, the trenches, skill guys, every grade that Pro Football Focus tried to slap on the Lions after the showdown with the Bears. Who graded elite? Who got exposed? And most important, did the analytics actually match up with what our eyes saw at Ford Field? Let's find out. Strap on, Lions Nation. PFF Tuesday starts right now. Detroit Villain Squad is now at 78,000 strong, and Facebook and climbing fast. Help us storm the castle of 100,000 followers on Facebook. Thank you for everybody that supports there. And are you on YouTube? We're chasing 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. I just threw that into the comments right there. So Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, wherever you scroll, the Villain rolls. Connect with me on all platforms and be part of the takeover, because it's faith, family, and then football in that order. In that order. We use football. We don't let football use us. And this episode is brought to you by Fanatics.com. That's right. If you're rocking with the 313 and you bleed Honolulu blue, then you need to gear up like the real one over at Fanatics, our official merch partner. I'm talking Lions jerseys, blackout hoodies, throwback Tigers gear, and Red Wings drip so icy it should come with a Zamboni. So here's what you do. You click the link in the description in the comments right there. Save up to 25% off of your orders. Every click supports the channel, supports the page, and lets the world know that Detroit fans do it bigger and they do it better. Villain Squad don't do knockoffs. We do official. We do Fanatics. Get yours. All right. That's it. That's it. How are we doing? How are we doing out there? Hold on 1 second. That's what I'm talking about. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah, Ben Johnson. Yeah, you want to go over to the other spots. Yeah, you found out. Yeah, the Macho Man jumped to the top rope and smashed it into the heart of Ben Johnson. Oh, yeah, that's right. Dig it, Ben Johnson. Oh, man, that's the first thing I want to hit. Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson. You got what you deserved, Ben Johnson. Like, don't give me that crap. Like, maybe the FU chant was a little bit too much for a whole crowd in front of kids and stuff like that. But don't just go over there and pretend like you just took the job. Oh, yeah. Oh, you don't want him to get a promotion?
Could have had the food and beverage job.
You could have had the food and beverage job. Don't feed me that crap. You were the hottest coach on the market. You could have went anywhere you wanted. You chose Chicago because in your mind, you think that you're smarter than Dan Campbell. You were like, oh, I can do this. I'm going to prove it. I'm the smart guy. That's why you went there.
Could have had the food and beverage job.
You could have had the food and beverage job. Don't give me that. You got what you deserved in there. The Lions put the BTA, belt to ass, and you deserved that. I don't know if you deserved a whole stadium full of F.U. Ben Johnson chants, but you deserved every point that got put up on you. Even on that fourth down, don't act like you didn't, like we were running it up. Maybe we were running it up, but, you know, fourth down on that side when you're up by that many points. Yeah, we want to put the BTA in there. Put that belt to the ass. It ain't about who wins the offseason. The Bears win the offseason every year. They always have a good offseason. Man, I've heard 15-2 from Bear fans for the last 4 years, even with Justin Fields. It's the same thing every year. Let's say hello to everybody. Rick C in the house.
You like that?
Davey's in the house.
You like that?
Charles Muskegon Posse
You like that?
in the house. Right there. And please, I beg of you, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube. Even if you're watching it on Detroit Lions News Podcast with Joe Chapp and the boys, or if you're watching it on the Villain Squad Facebook page, hop on over to the YouTube page. Hit that subscribe button real quick, because a lot of the stuff is the same. It is the same. It's just a show of support, you know? Because we do broadcast, you know, some of the videos that are into YouTube. It's the same thing that's on here. I broadcast into all of them. But thank you for those that do that. That's right. Davey's in the house.
You like that?
That's right. Mark Orlando.
You like that? You like that?
Tyler. What's
You
up,
like
buddy?
that?
What's up, John?
You like that? You like that?
John Dorn's in the house.
You like that?
Yeah, that's right. There was a great uprising in media over us failing.
You like that?
That's what the media does, though. But that's what the media does. That's their job. I don't even, you know, I mean, the media go out there. You get your ass kicked like that in week 1 against the Packers, they deserve it, man. You got to play better than that, man. Everybody goes in with these high hopes, and you get your ass beat like that. You gotta talk about it. No, I personally wasn't worried about it. What did I say last week? I'm not personally worried about having a bad game. You know, I'm not personally worried about a new coordinator coming in, and it takes, you know, guys a minute to get up to speed. Now, if we would have lost to Chicago, I wouldn't be talking like this right now. If the Lions would have lost to Chicago, I wouldn't be on here, you know, feeling good about it. You know, but they righted the ship. I thought that they would right the ship. It's a lot different when you got young offensive linemen, and this isn't an excuse. The Packers whooped our ass, but it is a lot easier to go into your own, for offense to come into your home. You know, you got a brand new offensive coordinator. They're doing the new stuff. They got us on a lot of that stuff. But they were obviously able to, you know, they were able to hear the calls in their own home stadium, and the offensive line played a lot better, in which the offense played a lot better. So John Morton's fine, guys. He can call plays, but you got to execute the plays. It comes down to the players executing the plays and being on the same page. And judging by even what I saw in the game with the Bears, you know, even putting up 52 points, they're not all the way there yet. It hasn't peaked yet. They're still figuring it out, and I'd say give it 6 weeks. I think 6 weeks, you're going to get the Lions offense up to speed. The defense will be up to speed. So over the first 5 weeks, let's just say if I'm right, you got to progressively get better. You got to continue to stack good practices. You know how it is, realistically. So this is a really tough test that they got coming with the Ravens. And I think when it comes to the Ravens, you got a percentage of Lion fans and obviously troll fans like John Dorn don't think we can do it. But there's a percentage of fans that have this feeling that the Lions just can't stop a mobile quarterback, and there is no presence opposite of Aiden Hutchinson in the pass rush. And that's the question that needs to be answered this week before we get into PFF Tuesday. That's the question that needs to be answered this week, and they have an opportunity to do that. Because I think if the Lions can shut down a mobile quarterback, an elite mobile quarterback, if they can shut down Lamar Jackson and 2, they get some more sacks from guys not named Aiden Hutchinson. I think if you do those 2 things this week on Monday Night Football against the Ravens, if you do those 2 things, win or lose, if you can do those 2 things, then you'll get a portion of the fan base back that's just kind of sitting on the fence going, I don't know. It's been proven over the last few years that the Lions have had trouble stopping the mobile quarterbacks. Jordan Love had a couple of runs in week 1, extending plays. Can you stop a mobile quarterback? That's the question. So I think if you can do those 2 things, you're going to get a portion of the people back. Shoot, even Robert, we haven't proven that we can stop a real team yet. It's true. That's true. So the Ravens are a real team. The Packers are not the only real team. And if the Lions want to prove that they're a real team, you need to beat the Ravens. That's a game that I don't think anybody in here thinks that the Lions are going to beat the Ravens. I mean, I'll go as far as to say I think they can beat the Ravens, but I don't know if they will. I was at that game in Baltimore last year. Or 2 years ago, that would be. Last year, we went to Indianapolis. Finally got a win. But no, the Ravens beat our ass the last time they played us. Shoot, they beat our ass worse than the Packers did. So you want to prove that you got that ship righted? Then stop a mobile quarterback. I mean, I know Caleb Williams is a mobile quarterback, okay? I know that. But he can't do the other stuff like Jordan Love does. He can't do the other stuff like Lamar Jackson can. Caleb hasn't proven that he can be a good quarterback yet. No, Ben Johnson got his. Ben Johnson got his. Taking shots at the Packers, taking shots at the Lions in his first offseason. And he's finding out. Week 1, he finds out. And he lets J.J. McCarthy come back on him. That's coaching. And then You get embarrassed by the Lions in Ford Field. And what the hell do you think is going to happen, Ben Johnson, when you play the Packers? They may have the biggest gripe against you out of any of the teams in the NFC North. The teacher taught the student a lesson in this game. That's no big deal, right? You want to go and you want to choose the rival team and get your ass kicked twice a year. That's fine. That's up to you, Ben. But Ben, in his opening press conference, takes a shot at the Green Bay Packers that the Green Bay Packers threw and they put on a poster board. And when the Packers play the Bears, what do you think's going to be on that marquee? When Micah Parsons is chasing down Caleb Williams and getting thrown to the dirt, he's going to go over to Ben and be like, Ben, why didn't you just keep your mouth shut? Everybody you talk trash on kicked our ass. So that's the thing. That's the first lesson that you learn, Ben. You got to learn humility. Because there's one thing that the Lions have and that, you know, I have respect for my opponents. And I've kind of learned that from Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell has respect for his opponents. You know, opening the season on Lambeau Field, did Dan Campbell go, yeah, we're gonna just keep owning the Packers because the Packers are trash? He didn't say that. He said, I have complete respect for Lambeau Field, the historic. There's been greatness that's happened on that field. You can feel it when you walk in there. It's our pleasure to play on that field. You know, he gives nothing but respect to, you know, LaFleur and the roster that they've built there. They don't go in there talking trash. And Ben, who hasn't done anything, he immediately talks trash on Jared Goff. He immediately talks trash on the Packers. It's a lesson learned. Get a little lesson in humility. It ain't as easy as it looks. And believe me, Lions fans are still recovering from 30 years of losing. Okay? The Lion fans are still recovering. There are some Lion fans that are just thankful that we're not out of the playoff race in November. I'm happy with that. I'm happy to have a contending team and have a chance every year. You know, all joking aside, you know, on who hasn't done it and who has done it, once you make it into the playoffs, all bets are off.
Playoffs?
All bets are off when you make it into the playoffs because 6 seeds have won the Super Bowl. And 1 seeds have won the Super Bowl. All you got to do is get in and then be playing well. There's no predetermination or whatever. You just need to make it into the tournament, first and foremost. For those of you that say regular season doesn't matter, regular season does matter. You got to win the games. You got to win enough games to get into the playoffs. And the more and more it's looking like it is like that's going to be 10 wins now. Maybe one team makes it in at 9-8. But you got to win 10 games. You probably got to win 10 games. Or you could be in a crappy division where everybody's dumb. Yeah, that's the only way that you're going to get in under 10. You just have a crappy division that beats up on each other. Squeak out a couple other wins. But it is PFF Tuesday. Wanted to get to it. And I don't spend too much time on this because you guys know how it really is. Like, the PFF is not the end-all, be-all. You know, the PFF, to me, the reason I even do this on Tuesday, because I know that some people come out with the PFF scores from yesterday. They already know what these are. But the thing is I like to have the PFF scores out, look at them, you know, and gauge them against the game and see if it tells the right story, or maybe it tells a little bit different of a story. So on offense right here, you see just in total offense, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, Isaac Tesla, Jameson Williams, Brock Wright, Penei Sewell, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Really, I guess you could throw Taylor Decker in there. Those are all our green players. Guys that played well, that's pretty good. That's a lot of green. That's across the board. Good. And it's nice to see Jared Goff being up on that list. And you know what? Unpopular opinion. I don't even think Jared Goff was all that bad last week against Green Bay, considering. I mean, just because all of his passes were completed short, I give credit to Green Bay for tackling well. Because he was completing passes to Jahmyr Gibbs. You know, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. If you're throwing those short passes, they normally break tackles, and those 2-yard gains that Green Bay was stopping us for are usually 7-yard gains. So good job. But Jared Goff had another good game. Incredibly efficient. On the bottom end, who had the worst scores right here? Coyote Awasika, he only played 4 snaps. I'm not going to beat him up on that. That can get skewed a little bit. Craig Reynolds, 49. Tate Ratledge is a 56. The 50s aren't all that. This isn't bad. So you could tell that the offense was really, really good when your worst players scoring a 56. Graham Glasgow, 50, 56. You know, and these are the number of plays over here. 3, 3, 3, 3. So out of the big ones, Graham Glasgow played a lot of snaps, right? 56 overall. Christian Mahogany was a 61 overall. But when you look at the pass blocking right here, this was a good story that was told. Now, where the Lions struggled on the offensive line was in run blocking. But if you look at the pass blocking here, Christian Mahogany, look at that, 81.1. Graham Glasgow, 77. Taylor Decker, 76. Tate Ratledge, 66. Penei Sewell. When's the last time Penei Sewell was the lowest graded pass blocker? And he wasn't even awful on that. But where you see that our new offensive linemen are still struggling right there is in run blocking. So Tate Ratledge and Graham Glasgow scored the lowest on the team at 51, 52. And really, when you're talking about in the 50s, that's a little bit below average, but the 50s are kind of average. Your average scores. You guys just kind of there. You know, not getting embarrassed, but just not overperforming. So they didn't overperform in the run game. And damn, you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that. So what do you think of those offensive scores? Let me know in the comments. I mean, as predicted, you know, I mean, that's what the game showed. I think the PFF scores lined up with that. You know, it was a dominating performance, but it wasn't perfect. You know, There were chances that, I mean, the Lions got 3 turnovers and only got 7 points out of it during that stretch. And it's like, God, they could have scored 70 in that game. But they left some meat on the bone. And that should be good news to you. We're not peaking yet. We're not as good as we're going to be yet. But yet there's still meat on the bone. They scored 52 points. I enjoy your trash talking in here, John. I'm glad that we can find a commonality here. And we can take this week and pull out the break. We'll get our war week going. The week of Thanksgiving, John. Robert, if you're still out there, we'll get this thing going. Robert's part of our weekly, picking our scores on Saturday. He's going to be part of the Saturday Pick'em shows. He's been on here. It's been fun. But I'm willing to table that. It's going to be a big war week. I got a feeling that this Thanksgiving game is going to be pretty big as far as the records are concerned and everything. But the Lions got a little bit of a war path going here. Really, really hard schedule. So it's like, I don't know. After watching the first week, I was saying, it's like, man, I want to get out of this first stretch at like 3-3. I would feel okay going into week 7 at 3-3, just knowing who we have to play at the beginning of the season. But you got to beat those teams. They're going to be battle tested. They're going to play the best teams. And if the Lions want to win the Super Bowl, they got to go through these teams. So it's like the day of being a scared Lion fan and, looking at the game and trying to figure out, hopefully we can win. Like, no, it's like, you got to win these games. You got to go to Baltimore and win. Now, it's not going to be the end of the world if they don't. But if you want to be considered the best, you got to be able to beat the best teams. And that sounds cliche. I guess that sounds kind of dumb, but it's like, it's truth. We're not going to get to the Super Bowl without having to beat Matt Stafford and the Rams or Baker Mayfield and the Bucks or Jordan Love in the Packers or the Eagles. Like, you got to go through those teams. You're going to have to play them anyway. And you'll be battle tested. You're hoping to be a little more than 50% on those high-end games. When Dan Campbell talked about dragging guys out to the deep end, you don't win all of those games. The good teams are the good teams for a reason. You just want to be able, you have to be able to get on that field. You got to get on that level. And everybody that's on that level, there's no guaranteed wins. There's nobody that dominates. The Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce thing here, that's about the closest you've seen to dominating. And New England has been able to sustain over long periods of time. Everybody else is just hoping to get one every 20 years. Or, in my case, get one at all. Because I tell you what, if Dan Campbell brings a Lombardi trophy to Detroit, that's immortality. That's immortality. What that would do for the city, You know, when he says that it's been battered and bruised, yeah, we take shots from everybody. We take shots from everywhere. The armpit of the United States. You know, we take shots. It would be huge. It would be huge. So, but you're watching the Lion Villain Report. You can join me Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. And it's PFF Tuesday today. We're going through the PFF scores, highest on offense, highest on defense. We went through the offense right there. This episode's brought to you by Fanatics.com right there. If you're rocking with the 313 and bleed Honolulu blue, then you need to gear up like the real one over at Fanatics, our official merch partner. That's right. So here's what you do. You click the link in the description and save up the 25% off your order from our affiliate marketing partners over at Fanatics.com. Every click supports the channel, the page, and lets the world know that Detroit fans do it bigger and better. Villain Squad don't do knockoffs. We do Fanatics. Get yours. That's right, PFF Tuesday right here, and we're going through the PFF, all of the nerdy scores. So let's get it back up in there. Let's take a look now at the defense. So if we're looking at the defense right there, look at that, Brian Branch. Brian Branch is a stud. And I'm glad to see these things showing up right here. You know, Brian Branch, Grant Stewart only played a couple snaps right there. Aiden Hutchinson, Alquadine Muhammad. There you go. Marcus Davenport, who is probably injured again. DJ Reed, Rock Ya-Sin. Had some good defenders in there. On the bottom end, Daniel Thomas, Zach Cunningham, Roy Lopez, Terrion Arnold. Terrion Arnold, like what he does good is he tackles good. But he's got to get everything else together. That's what that's showing right there. Okay. Kirby Joseph. That's kind of that didn't show that. I didn't see that in the game. I mean, I don't know. Alex Anzalone, Mekhi Wingo, and those aren't even, you know, the Roy Lopez playing 31 snaps. That's not a good game for him. Terrion Arnold, that's not a good game according to PFF right there for him. Kirby Joseph, that one's surprising to me because he did have the interception. That was a nice interception in there. But that's what it is on defense. As far as run defense goes, I mean, Brian Branch is a stud, dude. Just keeps showing up right there when I isolate it like that. DJ Reed. And then we always have good tackling. Look how good our tackling is. Goes 12 deep in the 70s. But all of our guys can tackle. That's a really, really good sign of an ascending defense. You know, don't take my word for it. You know, you can see it when it's out there. Because the problems that I saw that the Lions had on defense, and they gave up 21 points. So let's not talk like this is like they're performing at elite level yet. Now, there were moments where I saw elite play on that defense when you watch the game. You could see that showed up. It looked like this defense can be elite, but there were also times where it's like you get them behind the sticks. You can't let them, move the chains. When you got opportunities and you got 3rd and 7 and longer, you got to be able to finish the job. And there are a couple times where that didn't happen. So, but a couple of things that I noticed if I can find. I'm looking to see if I can find the targets on here. Yards, receptions. I'm sorry. Targets. There we go. I found it. Stop moving my stuff. So Terrion Arnold was targeted 9 times. Let me get these in that way. Jack Campbell was targeted 7 times. Brian Branch, 3. Kirby Joseph, 3. DJ Reed, 3. 3. Right? And they didn't even target Amik Robertson. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the Lions, that I guess you could say that they're picking on Terrion Arnold. But the thing is they get Terrion Arnold until they don't. So he is fixing these things, and they're finding that's like the only spot that they can throw because they don't want to throw at DJ Reed, and they don't want to throw it at Amik Robertson. So that part seems to be tightening up. So if they're going at Terrion Arnold, I mean, he's got to play better. 9 targets, 6 receptions for 89 yards. Jack Campbell gave up a touchdown, and Brian Branch gave up a touchdown. So there you go. That's the story that I'm looking at it, and that's what it's telling. You know, you got really, really good play out of Brian Branch, and I thought you got good play on Kirby Joseph. That one doesn't make sense to me why his score was so low. You know, it's not a perfect system, but I didn't see that one reflected in there. But Terrion Arnold, he's the one that's got to step up, according to PFF. When you're really looking at it, you got great performance by all of your other secondary guys. Now, granted, Brian Branch did take away an interception from Terrion Arnold, so I don't know if that would have helped his score getting an interception. But that's cool. Let's see what we got in here. Some elite grades for this week. You like that? You guys like PFF Tuesday? You guys like knowing all the nerdy numbers? Diving in a little bit? Is there anything that you want to see that's in here? Mark Orlando, hot take right here. Chiefs won't even win their own division. Well, they started the dreaded 0-2. Is 0-2? I mean, what do they say? Only 17% or 18% of people that start 0-2 make the playoffs?
Playoffs?
You notice how the national media just loves
It's my quarterback.
Patrick Mahomes so much that, oh, no, that's okay. He'll find a way. But everybody else, then they bring up the percentage. Well, Patrick Mahomes is going to be the exception. He'll obviously be the exception. Are you sure? Are you sure? I think this is a good hot take here. Mark Orlando might be onto something here. Have they got desensitized to high-end playing? Because they've been at the top so long. Are they starting to feel like they should just be there? Because I'm sorry, Genty looks like the real deal. I'm sorry. The Chargers look like they're going to be a tough out too, and they beat you. The Denver Broncos. So I don't know if this, Patrick Mahomes is just going to walk through this division like he usually does, the AFC West. Harbaugh's a good coach. John Harbaugh's a good coach. The Raiders don't look like a pushover. They look like they're built up. They're obviously not there yet. I think they'll finish last in that division. But I don't think that Kansas City is going to get some cake games against the Raiders. They're not going to get any cake games against the Chargers or the Broncos either. So, I like that call, man.
Say hello to my little friend.
Thanks, Mark, for the comment on that one. Rick C. agrees with you. I definitely see the Chiefs taking a step back. This season, they finish third in the division. Central Scrutinizers jumping in with me right here. Yeah, we got to see what we see, Central. The Lions need to figure out how to play zone. They got burnt. That touchdown was definitely that they gave up the Roma Dunze. That's probably what you're talking about more than anything else. Because at the end of that game, the Lions had everything going for them. I mean, one of their touchdowns was just kind of a garbage touchdown. It really didn't matter at that point, which I believe is the reason that I think that the Lions scored another touchdown, was because it's like we made them give up in that game. You could see that after that touchdown, when they went up to 52, that they'd given up. They gave up playing. You know, we're going to put in our backups now. Okay. No more punishment, Mr. Campbell. So, the Lions really, their defense gave up 14 points when it mattered. And I give the same respect to Green Bay, too, in that. Lions scored 6 points in that game. You know, if you want to count a garbage touchdown by Isaac Tesla at the end, like that was something, you know, more power to you. Good luck with that. But that was a garbage time touchdown. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from the awesomeness of it. It was still a really awesome catch. Definitely worthy of probably one of the best catches you're going to see all year. But it didn't mean nothing. It didn't mean nothing. Maybe a little pride at the end of it. The Bears scored 14 points when it mattered. So the Lions' defense was definitely better. I'll say that, Central Scrutinizer. They're tightening it up a little bit, but there's still a lot of room to grow. I think Kelvin Shepard's going to have this defense hitting like a well-oiled machine. Like I said, I give it week 6. I think it's going to take 6 weeks, both offense and defense. I'm not saying that they can not be good leading up to that, but, I mean, you're going to see some mishaps and some misfires first quarter of the season, you know, first half of the season.
You like that?
What do you think of that thought? You think the Lions going to hit have they hit the ground running now? Or you still think there's quite a bit of room to grow here with the new coordinators? Let me know that in the comments. Rick says we suck in zone. We got to get that ironed out. Yeah, you got to be able to play some kind of zone sometimes. And that's weird. That to me, that was weird. On that touchdown, Jack Campbell, when he came out in college, that was actually one of his strengths, is how well he played in zone. You got a lot of interceptions create a lot of turnovers at Iowa. And we're starting to see that play out here in the NFL. But he definitely looked lost on that one play that I'm definitely thinking about, that Odunze touchdown. Somebody was supposed to go with him. Too many people stayed in the middle. That was just a mental error. And those are the easiest ones to fix. The mental errors are the easiest ones. Now, if you're just getting outpowered or out-leveraged and you're just not the better player on the field, that's different. That's a way bigger cause of concern for me. But in these cases right here, the Lions had a couple of mental mistakes, and I'm expecting mental mistakes. And I'm giving 5 weeks of grace. There's going to be some mental mistakes here and there. I've jumped off of my high horse that it's just going to be a well-oiled machine coming right out of the bat. But I believe in my players to learn it quickly. And that's why I'm giving 6 weeks. That machine's got to get nice and well oiled.
You like that?
Steve is here. Yeah. Ooh, the bad guy is in here. Let's see some Tyleek's numbers. Let me see. I like it. You want to get nerdy with me, bad guy?
Say hello to my little friend.
Let's get nerdy. Tyleek Williams. Let's move it over. Tyleek Williams, 62, 57, 67 tackling. My bad, I'm sorry. So, Tyleek, as far as the numbers go, was solid. Those are solid numbers. 62, 67. Not elite. Tackling, it seemed to me, let's just, a lot of defensive tackles, grade right there in that area. I thought, with my eyes, I saw Tyleek had a good game. Like, it's hard to say, there isn't like a PFF score. They say run defense right there. And that makes me surprised that he didn't grade higher in run defense, because I thought that he was fantastic. 57.2 is what he graded on run defense. He had a 67 tackling grade. But Tyleek Williams looks like the real deal. He's doing what he needs to do in the middle of that defense. And better yet, he's making us not cry over not having Aleem McNeil. And that's really, really important while we're going through the first half of this season. So, Tyleek Williams next to DJ Reed. I like that. I even saw Mekhi Wingo out there. And if Davenport goes down, I would expect Mekhi Wingo to try to cover the Davenport gap, and be the rotation guy opposite of Muhammad. Because you guys see the way that works. It's not like you need a ton of pass rushers. You need Hutchinson. As long as Hutchinson's there, he's going to cover the one side. 95% of the snaps, Hutchinson's out there. I mean, Hutchinson played 57, out of the 60 snaps. So it's like you got 3 snaps to really deal without him. Muhammad had a really good game. I really like where he's at. I'm feeling good on him in the depth spot. Even if Davenport goes down now, you can't have any more. But we should be getting Pascal back. I mean, this is I don't know. He walked a fine line here with the pass rushers. But we got better out of our pass rushers this time around. I mean, what have we been crying about? We need somebody besides Aiden Hutchinson to get sacks. Even if you take the Brian Branch one out there, you got one from Al-Qadim Muhammad, you got one from Davenport. You got 2 other sacks. And you got one out of Hutchinson. That's what you want. You want guys that can win their one-on-ones. And when they get their chance to rush the passer, that they do a good job. Always room to grow. The communication is key. And yeah, but Tyleek, he was huge. He was huge on that 4th down stop. I mean, how good does that make you feel right there? Now, I know that Caleb does like the T-move version of the tush push. But it was 3rd and 1, stop. 4th and 1, stop. They didn't give him an inch. And you do that by winning the line of scrimmage, and Tyleek was big in that. Great call.
You like that?
It's a great call. Muhammad's flashing. Anzalone was okay. He was okay. He was okay. He was probably the worst linebacker. I mean, he only graded out at a 52 or 54.7 for Anzalone. 79.7 tackling. That tells me that the fundamentals are good. Like if you're tackling well right off the bat, you know, that's like your fundamental thing. You know, it's just like with your offense. It's like the offense isn't going to be explosive unless you can run the football. That opens up everything. Tackling, you got to be able to tackle. I mean, that's the key to stopping our offense. You know, the Lions had a lot of fun stuff that happened downfield in this game. That all happens because of the threat of the run. Gibbs averaging 7 yards a carry. The threat of the run. That brings personnel closer to the line of scrimmage. It's the game within the game. That's like when people tell me about the next week's game, oh, well, the Lions just can't stop a running quarterback. It's like, we don't even know what the game script is going to be yet. We don't know. You know, it's a series by series, case by case basis. Situational football. You got to be put into the situation first. You know, if the Lions go right down and they're able to score and put pressure on Baltimore, the whole game script could be way different. You know, we got our ass kicked last time, right? Well, that doesn't mean that every time you're going to get your ass kicked. It means that you got to change your game plan up. And you got to change the narrative. Well, the narrative was we couldn't score on them and they got out on a lead, and you're playing from behind. If you're playing from behind, you're going to call different plays than if you were trying to protect the lead. And if the Lions get in control of their play calling, and that's something that you earn. It isn't like you do it or you don't. You have to earn the right to dictate how you want to call your plays. When you get out ahead, you get the defense on their heels. They got to call different plays to try to score, or it's different. You're calling different plays than if you're trying to protect the lead. And if the Lions get in control of their play calling to where they're calling run pass, or they got the run game going, they're getting 5-yard chunks, getting in a lot of 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 situations, that's where the Lions thrive. Opens up the playbook. Lets John Morton, play with a couple extra toys. Give you some ideas. You don't know whether I'm going to run or I'm going to pass. Who doesn't think Lamar can throw the ball? I mean, I admit that at first you want to make Lamar beat you with his arm. I don't know how many people would say that Lamar can't throw. The biggest criticism I can give to Lamar Jackson has nothing to do with this game we're about ready to play. But in the regular season, this dude is a straight assassin. An alien from outer space. Insane. Like a superhero. The only problem is when he gets into the playoffs, he takes his his cape off. All of that dynamic stuff goes away. He can't beat good teams with it. I mean, I think that the only quarterback that he's beaten is Mason Rudolph in the playoffs. That's worth a crap. He's got to get past that hump. Just like Goff does, in a sense. But Goff has at least beaten a couple good quarterbacks in the playoffs to advance. I mean, the Matt Stafford playoff win, that's a pretty impressive win when you're really looking at how good the Rams are right now and have been. So you got to be able to go in the clutch moments and be able to deliver. Corey Patterson says that people love Josh Allen, though. And he does the same, ain't won anything, but gets all of the praise. I mean, I think that they definitely say that about Josh Allen, too. My comment that I've had on Josh Allen was he's had like a curse put on him ever since Patrick Mahomes did that 14-second thing and won. I think that Josh Allen is just like can't get past this mental hump. And the difference between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson is Josh Allen's actually beaten good quarterbacks. He's got a good record of, getting through a couple rounds of the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes is his Achilles heel. Lamar Jackson gets into the playoffs and it's like he forgets how to play football. I mean, if you remember Josh Allen in that game of the 14-second game, he scored to put the Bills ahead with 14 seconds left. He for sure thought he was going to the Super Bowl. And then Mahomes did that magic and put a voodoo curse onto Josh Allen. And he's never been the same since. I mean, he's still awesome every year. But that would weigh on your mind. 14 seconds. I hate that. I hate that Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. So this is the Lion Villain Report. I like that. That's a good conversation right there on the Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen argument. I mean, they're so similar. Not in stature. I mean, Lamar's not as big as Josh Allen. They're a little bit different in the way that they run. Lamar's definitely faster. Josh Allen does more of the physical thing. He's a physical freak. You know who Josh Allen reminds me of? Old school, like 1998 Dante Culpepper. What do you think of that comparison? Josh Allen, peak Josh Allen, peak Dante Culpepper. I'm like 98 Randy Moss, Dante Culpepper.
You like that?
You like that one?
It's my quarterback.
I don't know. I'll leave you with that one. Whatever. Oh, you've been watching the Lion Villain Report. It's PFF Tuesday. We went through all of the nerdy numbers, and we dig it. And we dig it. We dig looking all nerdy, all down and deep. The other numbers. How did they do? How did it match up with the way that they played? Did it match up with what I saw? We answered those questions today. And I think for the most part that it did, and it usually does. But you can join me Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. Lion Villain Report. I am the host, Russell Wayne. I am your resident villain, the villain of the 313, the undrafted free agent, the UDFA of sports podcasting. Thank you for being part of this show. It's faith, family, and then football. In that order. We use football to spend time with our family, create memories. We don't let football use us. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching today. Hope to see you guys tomorrow morning. But more importantly, I'll see you tonight. I'll be on the Johnny Gaz Show at 9:30 on this network right there. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Peace out.